Welcome to the Port City Plate Podcast, presented by Bienville Bites Food Tour. The Port City Plate Podcast is a podcast serving up the food, history, and people of Mobile, Alabama for people who love the Port City. I'm your host, Chris Andrews, and I'm excited about this episode. I'm excited to get this podcast kicked off. We brought in the big guns to kick this thing off. We got Jeff Roberts, Yellowhammer Coffee. Jeff is the founder of Yellowhammer Coffee, which I think a lot of our listeners are going to be familiar with. But Yellowhammer Coffee started in 2016 as Mobile's first coffee truck. Jeff and his wife Monique have, I think, in my opinion, have totally changed the game of coffee in Mobile, and it's from customer service. I mean, I think that's what's really changed the game, but also providing excellent tasting coffee as well for Mobilians. So what started as a coffee truck turned into several brick and mortar locations around town. And Jeff, thanks for joining the show, man.
That's awesome, man. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. That was an amazing intro. Also, try to say Port City Plate Podcast 5 times fast. I mean, dude, just you rattling that out, I was like, wow, this is. And then I was looking over here at your plate, which is beautiful. I was like, Port City Plate Podcast, Port City Plate Podcast, right? It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but yeah. I like it.
I should have also added that you're now a pilot. Do we add that to your bio?
Man, so I've been a pilot since I was like 18 or something. And it's funny you ask, like, so when we started the business, like I gave up everything in my life. I mean, everything other than my marriage and my family, like everything else hit the back burner. See that bad habit right there I was telling you? I just hit the table for you listeners. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to not. So yeah, we just had to put everything on kind of the back burner. And we were doing this business for 18 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, right? So I just let my license. Every 2 years, you kind of have to take a re-up on your private pilot license. So it just kind of fell off the wayside. And so anyway, it's been fun kind of having time because we have an unbelievable team that has most everything handled. So I've had time to kind of re-engage in that. And dude, it's been awesome. I love flying, man. I love aviation. And I actually see a future somewhere where we're going to tie aviation into Yellowhammer.
Nice.
And I've been saying that since day one. So this isn't like, oh, Jeffy's got a new plan of aviation. Like I've literally asked some team members that have been around forever, and they'll say, oh, man, he's been talking about that since before day one. So
you kind of got my wheels turned into the tourism space.
Oh, dude. Oh.
There's no kind of airplane. No, there's no tour from the sky in Mobile.
So we were flying over this building right here out your window. So if you're listening, we're in downtown Mobile. We have a tall. Do you know the height on that?
34th floor. Oh, well, that's the RSA tower. Is about
what's that? 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet tall.
Don't know the height.
Okay, we were flying. I was flying by that building like 3 days ago. Like I have a picture I can show. But man, the view of Mobile from the air is unbelievable because you have the battleship out here. You have downtown airport right here. You have all of these buildings. You have the port. You have also you have the water. It's just so beautiful. I didn't think about this, man. We literally came up with this live on the podcast.
I like it.
We're doing freaking let's go. I'm excited.
Well, I've enjoyed seeing your pictures that you posted on Facebook. Like I said,
yeah,
man, the views of Mobile.
Let's go,
man. Are incredible.
Dude, I almost flew down here for this because I live almost in Texas. I mean, it's like literally I'm in Mississippi.
West Mobile, Texas.
I almost had you pick me up from downtown. If the weather hadn't been bad, because I drove through a bunch of rain coming here, I would have just said, "Hey, man, can you swing by and just pick me up real quick, and we'll jump on this podcast."
I'd have done it.
But it really is a lot of fun, and I love aviation, and I do think there's some ties with our business in the future. I've kind of got a plan I've had for a long time. I'm just trying to vet it and see. It's gonna be a lot, but I think the value I think it's gonna add to our company is gonna put us on such a different trajectory, even more of a different trajectory, I think, than most businesses. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome.
That came out of nowhere too. I wasn't expecting about talking about airplanes, dude. I won't shut up this entire podcast just on airplanes.
Usually the last question somebody asks you on a podcast is like, all right, so what's your 10-year plan?
Right,
so we just went right into it, man.
Dude, this is it, man. This is what's gonna happen. No, but the future I see is eventually working our way up to some type of a jet or like a King Air or something like that. And what I would like to do is, like, if you're a certain level in our company, right? Say you're regional, say you're a franchise owner of 10 or more stores, or whatever that looks like in the future, right? And we're still trying to figure that out. I want you to obviously have, insurance and all this other stuff, cell phones and all that stuff's paid for. But I want to give you, and you'll have vacation time and all that stuff, but I want you to have jet time as well. And so part of your benefits package would be like, hey, man, you get 10 hours on the jet a year, right? Dude, one selfie from that jet of, you know what I mean, one of GMs or something. Like, hey, thanks Yellowhammer, flying to California to tour the Napa wineries or whatever, you know what I mean? Or whatever, you go to Guatemala, go to Disney World, you know, like one picture and we will have more resumes than we could ever read in a lifetime, right? And so it's just like, I don't understand why more people don't do it. But anyway, we're going to get there. So we'll look back and we'll play this podcast.
All right.
10 years from now. We're going to say, hey, remember that time when we talked about that on that? Anyway, so yeah.
I like that. And you take care of your people, and it shows. And I think
We try.
and that was one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you on this podcast was every time I go to Yellowhammer, how do you find the most friendly people in Mobile? Is
Man,
it training?
they're
Do
amazing.
you train them, or
Yes.
do you just literally just find the friendliest people in Mobile?
It's a little bit of both. So like I don't have anything to do with our hiring and firing anymore. Like they got me out of that quickly because I screwed up a couple times. It's we have really high expectations, right? And so even the way that you apply, like the expectation is really high. Like you have to part of the process is send us a video of yourself talking about why you want to work in our culture, right? And so coming in, people know there's a very high expectation. So if you're driving around and you're thinking about, man, I'd really like to get into coffee, and then you come through our store, you're gonna say, wow, those people are really friendly, but they're really knowledgeable. I think I could enjoy working in that culture, right? So part of it is like a culture attracts this certain type of people. You know what I mean? And so, but we heavily vet them, man. I mean, you come in, dude, I can't tell you how many conversations we have. Like, hey, man, that boy style is not going to cut it. Hey, let's try to give another example when you're doing this. Or, hey, the way that you talk to that customer, we can reshape it. Let's do this. So we do a lot of coaching. We do a lot of training. We do a lot of vetting. And if you're not okay being coached, you don't make it here. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, dude, I'll still get coached. You know what I mean? Like, I could walk in and Sam would be like, hey, that handout was kind of weak at the window. You know, I mean, not that I do a lot of handouts, but like, he would be comfortable telling me that. You know what I mean? Or any one of my managers. You know what I mean? And so it's just but okay. So here's the other side of it is we have a high expectation, but sometimes people love shooting for something that's difficult. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's just like I hear people all the time say, man, if I can just get people to show up. I mean, I'm just trying to get them to show up. And I'm like, okay, I get that concern, but don't make that your standard, right? Because then when that's your standard, that's all you have, right? Dude, if you're late 3 times in our culture, see ya. You know what I mean? So like, but everybody knows that. And then it's like, oh man. So we don't even think about like people showing up or not showing up. Like they're going to be there because that's the bottom of the barrel, right? What we're really trying to shoot for is that we call it. So our mission statement is amazing coffee with unmatched customer service. So we really put emphasis on, you know, and most companies have BS statements of like, blah, serving the world with blah, 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 you know, and you're like, come on, man. And so we really do try to shoot and hit for that mission statement. And I can prove it to you in the comments. I mean, go read some, I'm sure you have some of our Google reviews. People are like, man, that coffee was really good. But even cooler than that, my experience was unbelievable. I mean, we have people say that over and over and over and over. And it's really neat, but it's all intentional. It's all in training. It's all in the way we posture it. It's all in the way we interview. It's all in the way that we execute. It's all in the way that we coach people on the floor to really try to get better. Because you know what we tell people is think about the best experience you've ever had in customer service, right? And they'll usually be like, oh, is it Disney or is it Chick-fil-A or something? And I'm like, awesome. Now how do you beat that? Right? Because if we're going to be unmatched, that means we have to beat everybody else doing the same game, right? And so that's just kind of our process, and that's kind of, you know, what we've done. But it's very intentional, man. It's not like we didn't just luck out and be like, oh wow, we have 60 people that are really nice. You know what I mean? Like it's a very, we try to be engaging. What we really want to be is authentic, right? Like that's why I don't like Chick-fil-A. Oh, my pleasure. Can I get another pack of ketchup? My pleasure. Hey, can I get a refill on this lemonade? My pleasure. You're like, is it really your pleasure, or they got a gun to your head making you say this? You know what I mean? And so, but when we have people come to us from Chick-fil-A, the first thing we do is untrain them how to say my pleasure.
Really?
We have to, because they'll be like, you know, they'll hand out a caramel latte or whatever, and they're like, hey, have a great, you know, oh, thank you. Oh, my pleasure, you know, and we're like, you can only say it if you mean it. And they're like, well, crap, I've said it for the past 5 years and I really don't mean it. We're like, well, then stop saying it. You know what I mean? Because you have to be genuine in the interaction. And I think people can feel the genuineness. I mean, dude, we've had team members pray with people before. We've had team members cry with people before. Like we try to be very authentic because I think humans in general are authentic. You know what I mean? And so if they can feel that authenticity, I think it goes a long way. But it is hard. You know, it is a lot of effort to train. It's a lot of effort to teach. But yeah, but I think it's cool that you notice that. Like
I do know it well, and maybe it's because of the business that I'm in too.
Sure.
You know,
Oh, that's true.
for a food tour, I know that our restaurants are going to give an incredible experience when it comes to food. They're going to provide excellent food. But for our tour guides, when the tour guide goes above and beyond, we get those reviews. You know, hey, the
That's
food
awesome.
was great. The restaurants were some of the best in town. But Lee, our tour guide,
Sure.
Isabella, our tour guide,
Yeah.
was so friendly, and she made the tour excellent for
Yep.
us. You know,
Yep.
so having the tour guide uh, give that extra level of customer service for us.
Yep.
So maybe that's why I noticed, but
Dude, that's amazing.
absolutely, definitely. Noticed.
It's like when you're in the industry, like you notice things like that. It's like when you've been a server before, you always tip no matter what. It's just what you do because you know what it's like to be in that position.
Yeah.
Dude, but your tours are amazing. My
Yeah.
wife went. My wife's brother bought her like one of your tours. It's best experience. One of the best experiences she's ever had in Mobile.
Awesome.
I mean, she absolutely loved it. She loved. I can't remember who the guide was. She loved the guide. She loved the experience.
I think it was Danette.
Was it?
Danette,
Okay.
tour guide.
Yeah.
I remember that tour.
Yeah.
I remember,
She loved it,
Chris
man.
talking about it.
Yeah. She had an amazing time.
We talked a lot about business, and this is a food podcast. So, like I said, I said earlier, a lot of our listeners, I think, have probably had a cup of Yellowhammer coffee before. But what do you think? What distinguishes Yellowhammer coffee, the coffee itself, from some of the other coffee shops? What does that look like?
Man, it really does start with the roast, and so having the right roast is everything. So, man, I'm friends with like John Serta's one of my friends. He used to own Serta's. He just recently sold that business. Alan from Carpe is one of my friends. I mean, all these guys are really cool, and they're really amazing. I just didn't want to use their roast because I wanted to bring something a little different to Mobile. And so when we were starting, we were trying different roast from a lot of different roasters. Like, I mean, we were even looking at like Blue Bottle in California. We were looking at Intelligentsia. I think they're out of Chicago. We were looking at Counterculture out of the Carolinas. We even looked at Octane in Birmingham. I mean, we were just getting sent tons of stuff, right? Because we're vetting and betting and betting, and we're pulling shots and tasting and pulling shots and tasting. And the secret that you want to do is you want to do a blind taste test, right? Because Blue Bottle looks really pretty, man. Their packaging is brilliant. It's just, man, they do such a good job. But you have to take the label away, and you just have to stick to your palate, right? And my wife Mo, she's actually a super taster. I think it's like 10% of the population. Like, she can eat anything in any restaurant and tell you every ingredient that's in it. Like, she's one of those people, so she can tell you notes, she can tell you hints of things, just stuff that I have you know what I mean? I'm like, well, that fried chicken was good, or I didn't like that, and so she's like, no, it had a hint of white pepper and it had a touch of smoke and it had you know what I mean? Like, she can really dive into like and crazy stuff that like I've never even heard of. She'll be like, there's a little papaya in that or a little blah blah blah, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but so she has a really good palate. So she was really good at helping us do taste tests, right? So then we landed on a roaster out of Jackson, which sounds kind of crazy, but man, the guy's just been around. He's been around for years, so many years, and he used to live in Spain, and so he almost has that kind of European like palate, and he's just been around roasting forever, and he knows the game. He knows everybody in the business. He knows how to do it. And his roast kept coming up as the number one notes in all of our taste tests, right? And so yeah, that was kind of why when we took the labels off, we were like, oh my gosh, like this is Greg's roast, like this is amazing, and another cool thing, kind of like a little just kind of a little cool note is he has what's called a Q grader. So a Q is in Quebec. There's some pilot talk for you. So he has a Q grader, which is kind of like a wine. Like you could like equate it to like a wine like super taster, like a wine buyer, someone who's really in the game that can tell you all the notes. Like a James Suckling would be like the wine version of a Q grader, right? And so this guy can taste so many notes, and it's hard to get, man. There's not a lot of Q graders in the world, and our roasting team has a Q grader. Which is pretty neat. It's kind of a little feather we can put in our hat, but no one even knows that. I should probably like market that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, everybody, like this is cool. But all the big boys are like Blue Bottle's gonna have a Q grader, Intelligentsia, they're all gonna have Q graders. But it's cool. Like our little Southern roasting guy, like they have a Q grader on staff.
Now that's Jackson, Alabama.
Yep, that's out of Jackson. No, I'm sorry,
Mississippi.
Okay. Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
Yep, Jackson, Mississippi, and it's just neat though. Like it's not something a lot of people have because it takes so much time, effort, money. Like it's incredibly hard to get. Like it takes years to get. And I don't know, it's just kind of cool. But the way he buys his beans, so like this is the dicey part, right? It's hard to be a micro roaster and get really quality beans. It's very hard because the big guys have already bought up so much of the good stuff, right? The stuff that really is going to hit hard, these guys are buying it a year in advance, and they're putting hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to lock up the best coffees in the world, right? And then kind of everything else kind of gets washed down to, hey, we had some leftover from Guatemala, and then that goes to a broker. Hey, can you sell this to somebody? And so it's very hard to get into this game. It's very hard to start with quality beans if you're kind of a micro roaster not buying a lot of volume. And so one day we'll start roasting. I mean, Yellowhammer will be our own roaster. Like that's going to be in the plans. Man, and it's a lot of work too. Like part of me just never wants to do it because it's so much work. I mean, go talk to Alan, like go talk to John, like talk to these guys that roast, and they will say, Jeff's crazy if he ever wants to think about roasting. And I like, you know what I mean? And I get that. And so, but I think it'll be in our future, but you just got to have enough volume. I mean, we probably wouldn't even think about it until we had 10 or 20 stores. You know what I mean? Because it's like full-time salary, full-time cost, the headache of shipping this and holding this stuff around the world. There's a lot to it. And Greg does an amazing job, and his team does a killer job for us. And he can handle all the shred aches and the headaches and the I twisted the words, the headaches and the stress. He can handle all that stuff, and we get shipped an unbelievable product. The best compliment I've ever had in this business, we were actually down at Airbus at downtown. We were serving there, and this guy came up, and there's a lot of international people that work at Airbus, and this guy came up and said, through broken English, he said, give me 2 shots. And I was like, oh boy, like this could be a hit. This is coffee drinker right here, dog. Because around here it's like, give me a frappe, I'll take the milkshake. This guy was like 2 shots straight. And I was like, oh boy. So load the shot, hand it to him. And I'm like, oh God, please be good, please be good, please be good. Hand out the window. I timed the shot. The crema looked good. Everything was good. So he kind of walks off and he takes a sip and he stops. And in his tracks, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. Like I already have Square pulled up. I'm like, get ready for the refund. I'm just gonna refund this guy and hope that he's not gonna 1-star us. So he walks off. He comes back and through very broken English, he goes, hey, I want you to know I'm actually from Italy. And he goes, this is the first time in America I have felt like I'm standing in the streets of Italy drinking espresso. And I was like, boom. I was like, compliments. You know what I mean? It just made my day.
That's awesome.
Because I was like, man, that is so cool. But we're very particular. Like I know that we serve a lot of like frappes and like very romantic people in coffee kind of make fun of us, and I get it. I mean, I'll laugh at them too. I mean, trust me, I'm not like snooty at all. I mean, I'll make jokes about us too. Like that's fine. Because we sell frappes and Red Bulls and Slammers and all this stuff, right? But you'd be amazed at how actually particular we are with our espresso. Like we're very we have this stuff dialed in at every location. We know every single shot time of every drink that we pull, and we're religious about it. And so, man, I'm telling you, the big boys, and I won't name names, but like the big chains, go ask go through the drive-through of a big chain and ask them what the shot time was on their drink. They're gonna go, what's that? You know what I mean? Because they're just hitting buttons. We can literally say, hey, that was a 23-second shot. Or that was a 28-second shot, right? Like we know because our machines tell us, and we're dialing in constantly the grinders all day long to make sure that shot is amazing. And that's what a lot of people don't know about us. Like, yes, we serve the frappes and the smoothies and the fun stuff and the whipped cream and blah, 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 blah. But like that guy from Italy, if you actually come get just a straight shot of espresso from us, we really do know how to do it. And we really train on it. It's part of our first training that we do is sorry, I didn't mean to spit on your laptop. It's part of the first training we do is really showing you how to dial that shot in. And so yeah, man, it's all.
That's good. Full disclosure, I am more of a frappe drinker.
Yeah, totally, which is fine. Yeah, you'll love us.
But I can tell the difference in your coffee.
Yes,
I do. I'm not a coffee drinker that has to have I don't have to have a cup of coffee every morning to get going.
Wow,
I'm one of those kind of people.
Consider yourself blessed.
But I do go visit a lot of coffee shops just because of computer work or just it's a good place to socialize, right?
Dude, and we're drinking knuckle bones right now.
We are. They're
right below us. We just had this coffee is fantastic.
And it's good. It's good coffee.
It's fantastic.
But that's what I wanted to compliment you. I can tell the difference in your coffee
Sure.
compared to some of the other
Sure.
coffee shops around town,
Are,
or around, not even just around Mobile, but
sure.
all over the country.
Are you drinking like a frappe?
No, I mean this would be a normal cup of coffee.
Oh, okay, I got you. But even
Like
if
I said, I'm not a big coffee drinker,
Sure.
but more of a social coffee drinker.
Yep.
But I can tell the difference in your coffee,
that's cool.
and that you can tell that the flavor
Yep.
of the coffee is good.
Yep. Yep. Dude, that means a lot. But
And it's
even our frappes, it's really expensive for us. Like, we're kind of stupid to do it this way, but it's like, it makes such a difference. Even our frappes, you know, for your basic whatever, right? Like, it even has shots of espresso pulled off of that really expensive machine, and it goes into it. Whereas, like, you know, a larger national chain, it's going to be just a premix that they mix in real quick with ice and just hit it on the blender. And so we're actually crafting that frappe, and it's hard to do, and it's hard to do fast. So we try to get really fast at it while maintaining the quality of the shots that go in, even a frozen drink, which is kind of insane. But yeah, so far so good. But that makes the difference, right? Because people come by and they order what they normally get at like a larger chain, and they'll get it with us and like, oh my gosh, like this is so much better, and it tastes fresher, and I can taste that hint of coffee, but it's not overpowering and it's not bitter. We're like, yeah, man, it's because it has a real shot in it, you know? And so people load those things up. I mean, we have people order 4, 5, 6 shots in a frappe and roll it, you know? And I'm like, dude, that's some energy, you know? But yeah, that means a lot. You can taste the difference, though.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you too about, you know, you work with your wife very closely.
Yes.
And when we started Bienville Bites, my wife and Eileen, we worked together for a while.
Are you guys divorced yet, or
We're
is it
not.
But there's a reason I ask.
That's why I wanted to get into it, because there have been days where it's very difficult. There have also
Like
been
every
days
day.
where it's fun, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I wanted to ask you about that. Like,
Yep.
what's it like for y'all working together?
All right, so it's very all right. There's like two sides of this coin, right? It's very, very difficult being married to your business partner, right? Because when you're having a business fight, it's brutal. It bleeds to your family, it bleeds to your kids, it bleeds to. I mean, dude, we've gone to bed before, and I'm like hugging the side of the bed because I'm just angry. You know what I mean? Like, and she's cold. You know what I mean? It's just, man, those are like the tough times,
And it
right?
could have been avoided
Maybe
if you didn't work
Some-
together. If you didn't work
Probably,
together.
yes, probably so. Yeah, because I would have just came home and been mad about something at work. And she'd be like, "Okay, whatever. Well, I've got dinner," you know. So that's like some of the negative sides of working together. But man, like I almost think it's net positive though, because I think on the positive side, okay, let me back up here. So I know people that they're in business, that they own their own businesses, but it's just them, right? Their partner's not involved. And so there's a very large distance and a very large gap between the couple, because the other partner who's not in the business doesn't understand the stress, doesn't understand what they're under, doesn't understand what's going on. And several of those people that I know recently have gotten divorced, but it wasn't because they were working together, is because they weren't working together, right? And so the positive side is, man, you're doing something amazing together, which is awesome, right? And like, we're our own boss, and so we set the schedule for everything, for our lives, right? And that includes kids, that includes kind of the cycle of how we're trying to live our life. And we have 4 kids, so pray for us, man. I know you got 3, but drop one more, man. It's just at some point you just don't even keep count. But like the net positive side is like, I know all of the stress like my wife is under, and she knows all of the stress I'm under, and it almost makes us closer. And it makes us understand each other more. And so I'm not like, wow, she's really being annoying because she's so grumpy. You know, I'm like, man, that was, I mean, we've had a rough go at it the past 2 weeks because we've had some really uncomfortable like situations with a outside vendor that's been very almost legal. And it's very, very uncomfortable. And it's been some communications from my wife to this person. And everything she said has been fine. Everything has been going well. But I've had to kind of come in and try to recover it. But it wasn't because it was her fault. It was just this guy is perceiving it to be her fault, right? I'm trying to be very careful as I speak. Man, and that's like, that's hard, right? Because Mo's just like, screw it. I just want to give up. Like, this sucks. You know, like apparently this, you know, and I'm not the guy to save that. You know what I mean? I'm a hothead, man. Like, I'm the guy that was going to go off on this guy like 3 months ago. And Mo's the one that saved me from doing it. Right? I was going to burn this guy to the ground. And Mo was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. And I was like, okay, you're right. That's dumb. And so now I'm like, wait a minute. I'm the guy saving the relationship when you know what I mean? It's so stupid. But if I could disclose more, like, it's really, like it's really not her fault. And I can be objective. We're very objective. I'm not like the guy that's like, don't talk about my wife or else I'll, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, man, if it's valid, like, let's discuss it. We all have weaknesses. We all have areas we need to grow in. In this instant, and I've had third parties, people look at the situation. It's really not her fault, but it's hard though, man. Like, cause she's sad, she's upset. She's like, I can't believe we're in this. And I'm like, yeah, I can't either, but it's not your fault, but it's okay. We'll get through it. But it is, man. Like, it's challenging, but I do lean on the side of like, it's more net positive, I think, than it is, than it is like net negative, you know?
I lean on that side too.
You think so?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are the same way.
It's you experience the highs of highs together, the lows of lows together.
Sure.
But I think at the end of the day, yeah, I lean more toward the
Are you like
positive side of things.
Are you like, I'm like kind of a roller coaster guy. Like, do you have really high highs? You don't seem like you do at all.
No, I'm straight line.
See, you remind me of my
I'm
wife.
straight line.
So Mo's
all
like
the way.
that too. Is your wife, does she ride the roller coaster?
She rides the roller coaster.
So
yep.
I'm your wife
Yep.
and you're Mo in
Yep.
this scenario. And so I get frustrated, and you can vouch for this. Your wife probably does with you too. Like, we'll have the highest of the high, and I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, and then I get mad at Mo. I'm like, why aren't you excited about this? Like, this is amazing. Like, this is going to change our lives forever. You know, like, ah. And she's like, calm down, you know? And I'm like, no, you need to be happier, you know? And I'm like, ah. But then when I'm down in the dumps and I'm like, you know, want to jump off a bridge somewhere, you know, Mo's like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's fine. Like, we're going to get through it. Like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, no, you don't understand how bad this is. Like, our business is over. Like, we're dying, you know? And she's like, no, we're not. Like, anyway, do you all have the same dynamic?
The example you gave earlier literally happened to us.
Which one?
It was the exact opposite roles.
Which one?
Where, you know, she's ready to go knock somebody's head off.
Oh, for sure.
And I'm like,
yeah,
just
hey,
chill out. It's okay.
Yep.
So it's funny. Yeah, we're
dude, that's hilarious, man.
But it's good. We balance each other out.
You do. I mean, it really is like it, because you need both. Because like my team, I think, kind of sees me as like the kind of the visionary guy, like kind of a little crazy, kind of like a Richard Branson or whatever that guy's name is, like little Steve Jobs ish. Like, I definitely see like tendencies, but like I don't really want to be those guys. You know what I mean? But I definitely see the tendency sometimes, and I'm like, ooh, I need to work on that because I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, Steve Jobs would get in an elevator with someone and fire them before the doors open, right? And I'm like, and I could do that. I mean, I got that in me. I mean, I could literally go to town. So anytime I start pushing a little too hard, I try to like, you know what I mean? But it takes it's a balancing act, but there's also trying to be self-aware as well. You know what I mean? Just having the awareness, and I don't know.
All right, so this is a segment of the podcast that I like to call Meat and Three.
All right, meat and three.
We've already got to the meat of the podcast. So this is 3 rapid-fire questions
Oh, dude, I'm the worst at
that I have
this.
for you.
I'm the slowest.
I'll be
Like,
easy on you.
I'm so bad at these, dude. If you're gonna ask me my favorite movie, I'm literally gonna be like,
No, if you're not running Yellowhammer Coffee, what are you doing?
Oh, this is easy. Oh yeah, dude, you softballed me. Okay, if I'm not running Yellowhammer Coffee, I'm consulting in leadership and culture with teams, and I still think we're going to do it. So we're still going to run Yellowhammer and keep growing it, but I really think there's another play for us, and it's going to be consulting kind of in the culture that you have picked up on and that you've noticed.
I like it.
I mean,
there's such a demand for that.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And
It's
what you do
nonstop.
is literally, it can be done in every single industry out there.
It can. It translates to everything. And so we're starting to test some markets now. We have some people that are signing up to we're testing a leadership curriculum that we're doing, and I got a couple of guys signed up for it. And then we're going to start rolling this on a larger scale into companies. And so, so it's funny, like the things that you asked me, I'm going to do Yellowhammer and do that. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was an easy one, man. Thanks for softballing me, man. I really appreciate that.
Second one.
All right.
You've seen the coffee meme of, well, the coffee cups are lined up 1 to 8. Coffee number 1 has the milk, basically. It's milk.
Yeah.
Coffee number 8 is black. Which one are you?
Oh,
which kind of coffee are you?
Black 100%.
Number 8?
Oh, dude, I'm probably like on 10. So I'm past the black coffee. I'm like, give me straight shots. I'm like the guy, the Italian guy, right? Like, just give it to me straight.
Were you like that before Yellowhammer?
Yeah, actually I was, because I was around coffee a lot, and that's what got me into it. But I genuinely love a black cup of coffee or a straight shot. Like, it is what I love. And so people always come up and they're like, oh, I just want what you drink. And I'm like, no, you don't, dude. Like, get a frappe, man. Get something you're actually gonna like. You do not want what I want. Like, so many people have told me that because they just want to, Jeff's gonna pick something great.
So,
but
like, Jeff is not coming to the menu anytime soon.
No, you don't want that. It's already on the menu. Just get a black coffee, and don't put anything in it. Just straight up, or just pull some shots. Or my drink, actually, if you do want to get my drink, have them make it Americano, but make it with equal parts of water. So do like 4 shots and then do equal parts of water, and that's my drink.
All right.
Like,
Sounds awesome.
yeah, 50-50. Oh man, it's the best. You have to go try it sometime.
Third question.
All right.
Favorite restaurant in Mobile?
Oh man. Okay, this is brutal. Are you gonna force me to pick one, or can I have like a couple of runners up?
I'll give you some grace.
Man.
You can do a top three.
I just like I do like a lot of restaurants here. Noja's is one of the top. I really like Noja's a lot. Like they're doing something really good. There's just a lot of good ones, man. I love the Hab. I love Squid Ink. I'm trying to think, dude. I'm drawing a blank right now. Those are a couple of good ones. I mean, those we were just talking about Dolphins, man. One of the best views you're gonna get in the city.
Right.
It's fun to hang out up there. Man, I'm literally drawing a blank.
Good, man. Yeah,
okay,
no,
those are a couple.
fantastic.
Those are a couple.
Squid
Noja's
Ink's
is
fantastic. I've never had bad mule at
yeah.
and Noja, but yeah, Squid Ink. I probably eat there more than you need.
Yes.
Probably eat more than any restaurant in Mobile.
Yeah, Squid's good, but man, Noja's just has that like they just nail it. You know what I mean? They have a very different dude. The Noble South's good.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
I saw you there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We were actually texting about the podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
And, no, I was in Noble South. You were.
They kicked me in the side room. Yeah.
The sidecar lounge at Noble South. We were across the wall from each other
texting
about this podcast.
Trying to line this up.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
right.
I had a story I wanted to tell you. I don't think you've ever. I know I've never told you this.
Okay.
But
now I'm scared.
You said something on a podcast, Mobile, Alabama business podcast with
Marcus. Yeah.
Maybe 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I was just starting Bienville Bites around that time.
Yep.
And I listened to that podcast, and you talked about starting a business and running the worst case scenario.
Yes.
In your mind.
Yeah.
And the worst case scenario for you was, well, I mean, we live on the street, and my kids would think I'm the coolest dad ever.
Yep.
And
camping out.
And when I was starting the business at that time, that story has literally stuck with me ever since.
It's powerful, isn't it?
It is. And I ran that situation.
Cool.
I was like, what's the worst? All right, we start this business.
Sure.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yep.
I mean, I'm out a few $1,000.
Yeah.
Or
no big deal. And you had at that time you had a job at the steel mill.
Yeah, exactly. I had nothing to lose at that time.
So worst case was like,
I mean, what it hits my credit or something. I mean,
right.
Who
cares? Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just want to tell you that, like, that really made an impact on me.
Dude, that's
and
really
I've actually gone on to tell other people the same thing, too. Dude. I've been on some podcast before. And
dude, that's awesome.
What advice do you have for business owners? Like, man, just do it.
Yep. Yeah.
If you got an idea out there, man, just go for it.
Yep.
I mean, there's literally your worst case scenario is not as bad as you think it is.
Yep.
And so I want to tell you that.
Dude, that's really cool. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Man, there's it's just fun. Like we need a better like community of business owners, like encouraging business owners. I remember talking to Katie. Katie got from at the time she was doing payroll vault. I don't know if she still does that, but I can't remember what we were doing. I think it might have been for the Dolphin store, but it was something big. It was something I was scared to death. I was scared of a lease. I was scared of the money we were going to lose. I was just scared. And I remember telling her, I was just telling her about it. I was like, I'm just horrified. And she was like, you know what, man? She goes, you're always horrified when you're in the airplane before you jump. But she said, the moment you jump, there's just such a peace because it's like, man, you just do it. You just figure it out. And I was like, man, so I remember that analogy. You know what I mean? Like, even though I had already, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny how like stories encourage us differently, you know? And so, yeah, Katie told me that. And, yeah, it was just so encouraging. And it just helped me take that jump, you know, quote unquote, out of the airplane and sign our first lease on a brick and mortar that I wasn't sure was going to work, you know? And so, yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool how we encourage each other just to, you know, we need more of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm generally a pretty negative person, as you've experienced before we turned on the podcast here. And you're like Mr. Positive. I was telling someone about that earlier. John Burgoon, actually, I was texting him. And he was like, dude, I know Andrew or Christopher. And I literally, it's your last name that throws me, man. Your last name.
I get it all the time. People call me Andrew.
So he was like, man, I know that guy. And I said, yeah. I said, I really like him. I was like, positive energy, like legit positive energy.
That's
and
right.
He was like, man, he was like, agreed, 100%. The podcast is going to be fun. Anyway. Yeah, we need more of that positive energy, you know? I need more of that positive energy.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, last segment of the show is Chris's Dishes.
Okay.
This is a segment where I talk about the best dish that I've had this week.
Ooh.
Best dish that I've had this week was from the Noble South.
Ooh,
and,
okay.
Yeah, I had the catfish, fried catfish with 3 vegetables. I got the 3 sides. I mean,
okay.
I'm not a big breakfast eater.
Yeah.
So I go with the 3 sides.
Okay.
Lunch. So
yeah.
Big portion size lunch. I had the black-eyed peas.
Okay.
The fried okra, and mac and cheese. Those
Oof.
are the three sides I went with.
That sounds amazing.
The fried okra it's not like your traditional round fried okra.
Okay.
It was the long okra.
What?
And it was lightly fried.
Dude.
Really, really good.
That sounds
The
amazing.
fried catfish too. It's not like you think of when you think of Rocky Creek, Lucedale,
Right.
catfish.
Yep.
It was lightly fried again.
Dang.
Came with a little tartar sauce. Phenomenal.
Dude.
Best dish I've had this week.
That's
No
amazing.
doubt.
What's your favorite restaurant?
Put me on the spot, man.
That's what I'm here. That's what I'm here for, man. You can have a couple. I'll give you
I
some.
did mention earlier, I probably go to Squid Ink more than any other restaurant in Mobile.
Okay.
But you can get such a variety there. You get
Sure.
burgers, the
Yep.
sandwiches.
Yep.
They've got like a variety of burgers, so it never gets old.
Yep.
One place I really like lately has been Mediterranean Sandwich.
Oh, dude. They're
That's a place I've been going a lot lately.
they're in West Mobile. I
Yep.
probably eat there twice a week.
Really,
Oh, dude. I'm like,
the Redneck Hero.
I love
That's one
that
of the
thing.
best sandwiches.
Yep. Yep.
You can't find a better sandwich than that.
My wife gets something that has Kaneka and jalapenos. Do you know what that is?
I don't
It's
know.
like, oh, dude.
The Redneck
it's-
Hero has Kaneka, but not jalapeno.
This thing has jalapenos and it's so stinking good. And I'm just such a plain Jane. I just get basic. So all I get is a hero without tomatoes. That's it. And that thing for me is
Yeah,
money. I mean, it's gold. That is a good one, dude.
that meat's good.
Yeah.
What's the best dish you've had this week?
Okay. Best dish I've had this week. What's today? Friday? Oh, dude. Oh, this is cool. Oh, look at this. It worked out. This actually worked out. The timing is perfect on this. Sorry, I got really excited. See, look, I just rode that roller coaster up, man. Look,
I'm straight line.
Christopher's over here. Christopher's over here like, okay, dude, calm down. And I'm like, yeah, this changed my life. Okay, so Lance and Jerry is launching Vandal's Street Kitchen, right, in West
Yep.
Mobile. So we were able to kind of finagle our way in there, get a little sneak peek. Dude, the food was awesome.
All right, tell us about it.
Man, it was like, and I'm gonna fumble everything because like I just kind of look at menus and just point and pick. So I'm gonna fumble. Like the egg rolls were amazing. The oh my gosh, like I can't even tell you. Like if my wife was on here, she'd be like, oh, it was this and had this and this is amazing. But like it was like the I like I'm literally botching it. I want to Google the stinking menu right now. Like
So Vandal Street Kitchen, they
Yes.
just opened up right there in front of Providence Hospital
yes,
Airport.
yes,
Was that the old Montego's location?
Yep,
that's where they're at now.
that's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's perfect. Now, y'all go check out the Vandal Street Kitchen.
I-
They're having some soft openings right now.
Yes, I think that's what it is.
But the newest restaurant in Mobile, and so
Yeah, it really is.
I know
But
one of
man,
the chefs there, Eli. He used to work at some of the restaurants downtown.
yeah,
And,
okay.
man, great chef, great guy. They're gonna do good things out there, and West Mobile needs some.
Variety.
They need some places like that.
They do.
Downtown's got it,
Yes, correct.
and West Mobile's getting there.
Yeah. It really is.
I think about Margot that's out there at Cottage Hill
Yep,
and
yep.
Schillinger now.
Yep.
And then you add in the Vandal Street Kitchen, and I think, man, West Mobile is of course you got Poor Baby out there in the airport.
I was gonna say, Poor Baby is the staple. Like
It
for me,
is.
that is the staple. Ricky out there is, dude, money. I mean, he's awesome. He always takes care of us. We go there a lot, and it's funny, man. Like now, when I go to Poor Baby, we'll go with a couple friends, and I always tell him, I'm like, listen, man, if we start acting like a bunch of hyenas back here, I'm like, hit us over the head or kick us out. Because, dude, one night we went there, we were so loud, like people were like, you could tell, like we're like screaming over there in the corner, and people are like, they're trying to have their little date at Poor Baby, and we're like, like you're such an idiot. So anyway, yeah. So Rick, and when I was embarrassed when I left, I was like, Ricky, I was like, you have got to like hit me or something, man. He's like, oh, you guys are fine. Of course he's gonna say that, but I'm like, no, we weren't. We're a bunch of idiots, I'm like, but yeah, dude, Poor Baby is solid. But dude, Vandals was really good, and Jerry was telling me they're still fine tuning a lot of their like dishes and a lot of their street corn. So they had street corn. Street corn was amazing. Now it's coming back to me. So my daughter got it was some kind of a rib, and I can't remember what, sticky ribs, I think. Dude, you have to go try the sticky ribs. Like it was really, so we just ordered a bunch of stuff and just tested a bunch of stuff. Man, the sticky ribs were amazing. I had the fajitas. They had some type of specialty fajita. I had the fajitas. It was good. The street corn was amazing. Yeah, now it's coming back to me like 30 minutes later. I'm like, oh yeah, hold up, I think I do remember. But yeah,
I gotta get out there.
Yeah. I think you'll like it, and I don't know when they're going to open to the public. We're actually going to take our managers there next Wednesday, but I don't know if they're open yet. They're still doing a lot of testing. Just watch social media, or by the time this podcast, I don't know when you're dropping this podcast, but they may already be open. So just check on their social media or website. But man, I love the variety in West Mobile. Like, it gets me excited. You know what I mean? Like you said, we have the right variety down here out this window, but we definitely need it kind of that side of 65. And I think people like this are going to help bring it out there, you know, and I think they'll do well. I mean, I think we'll be shocked, because it's just, man, when my wife and I, like I said, we live in Texas, when we're trying to get dinner, it's like, what do you want, Chick-fil-A or do you want McDonald's? You know what I mean? It's like, we need that, like, that variety that comes in. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've ordered to go from Poor Baby. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, well, I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. Like, I don't really want to hang here, or really can't, but like, still want something different. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm excited because a lot of variety is coming, you know? So that's cool.
I'm excited about that too.
Yeah.
Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
Dude, this has been fun.
The inaugural guest of the Port City Plate podcast.
Man, I appreciate that.
Podcast.
Yeah, the Port City Plate podcast. Port City Plate podcast. Port City Plate podcast.
Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Port City Plate podcast, presented by Bienville Bites Food Tour. You can book a food tour online at bienvillebitesfoodtour.com, and you can check out our Facebook group, the Port City Plate, where we will be sharing Chris's dishes on there, of course.
Dude, that's
also
cool.
Some latest happenings, like the Bienville Street Kitchen that's coming soon.
Yeah.
And some other stuff going on. So check us out, porkcityplate.com, Port City Plate on Facebook, and we'll catch you again on the next episode.